In today's practice, we're going to focus on relieving some tension from our neck, shoulders, jaw, and even in the chest. So often in times of difficulty and stress, we find ourselves contracting in our heart space, almost building sort of a wall or armoring this area as a way to protect ourselves. As we draw the shoulders forward, we can create tension and over-rounding in the back that will stretch the muscles further than what is comfortable over a long period of time, as well as just the usual tightness that comes into a person's neck when they do hold their stress there. So this can create knots at the top of the neck, and with these knots you'll find maybe even a bit of a tension headache. Hopefully this short, gentle practice can bring you some relief if any of this is sounding familiar for you. So we'll begin in a comfortable seated posture, and if easy seated pose, Sukhasana, is not comfortable for you, just for centering, maybe you allow your hips to come up a little bit higher than your knees. And yoga blocks could be helpful in this way. You'll also find them really beneficial at the end of our practice. So if you don't have any yoga blocks at home, you might look into purchasing a few of these online. They're pretty inexpensive and they can be used in so many different ways in your yoga practice. So I would highly recommend having a pair of yoga blocks. Another thing that could be helpful is a scarf, a belt, or if you have a yoga strap, this is also really helpful. A yoga strap just has a buckle, allowing you to thread the end through, making a circle, and you can tighten and loosen this to decide how big that circle is. I'll also show just how to do some of these with a scarf. So a scarf or a towel might be all you need. As you find that comfortable seated posture, allow your eyes to close, and as much as you can, relax the muscles of the face. With a breath in, lengthening the vertebrae. With the breath out, softening the shoulders. As you breathe in, let the crown of the head reach a little bit taller. And as you breathe out, a sense of letting go. So as you tune into your chest, shoulders, neck, and jaw, what do you notice? Just bringing awareness to these areas and setting an intention of hoping to release. If you find a contraction, heaviness, a tightness, can you make it your intention to begin to let go? Setting our intention in this way can guide our practice so that as you come into the shapes, as the mind gets busy, perhaps you start thinking of things other than this present moment, you can also let go of that habitual thinking. Letting go, releasing, being more at ease. These can be your mantras. As the eyes remain closed, allow the hands to come by your sides as you connect to the ground beside you. Take a deep breath in and let the arms reach up and overhead. As you breathe out, slowly the hands descend back to the ground. Staying connected to your breath. Again, just a way to begin matching your breath to the movement and noticing the range of motion in the shoulders, how it feels to add in some movement. The next time, the hands are down by the sides, creating some shoulder circles. So just lifting those shoulders up to the ears, drawing them back, and then settling your shoulder blades into your back pockets. Really exaggerating these circles. And then taking them in the opposite direction. So now they're coming up, forward, and down. And then beginning to let the eyes flutter open as you remove any props you may have been using out from underneath you, extending the legs out straight. So just allowing your hands to support an upright seated posture and creating some movement in the legs just to find a release from that Sukhasana, maybe a circling of the ankles or a flexing and pointing of the toes. Okay. Now we'll come into some cat-cows seated. So I turn this way. Just for the visual, we're gonna bring our fingertips back and we're gonna find a dorsiflexion. So bringing your toes toward your shins, open your heart, lifting your gaze slightly. As you breathe out, pointing the toes, rounding the spine, tuck your tailbone. Inhale, opening the heart. Fingertips can be pointing back or toward the feet. And then exhale, rounding, chin comes to your chest. And just one more. Here, bringing in that whole vertebrae. And really hollowing out the belly, navel to your spine in that cat shape. As you inhale, we'll come back up and into a table posture. This table is hands and knees. Hands are right underneath the shoulders. Knees are underneath the hips. We're going to take the left foot out to the side. Toes are pointing to the left wall. And inhale, we'll take the left arm sweeping high. And exhale, sort of like threading the needle. Just reach that arm through. Inhale to open. And exhale, a gentle twist. So feeling more into that opening of the shoulder. Can't really thread all the way through with that left foot out to the side. And then we'll place that hand back down and just bring our left knee in. So now we can come into that full threaded needle shape. Inhaling the left arm high And then exhaling as you sweep it through, we're going to drop right onto the back of that left shoulder, bringing our left temple to the ground. Right hand can anchor down onto the ground to create a little bit more of a twist here. Or bringing your hand to your sacrum, sort of feel into the hips. Make sure the hips are side by side. And if you find that your hips are squared, maybe you take that top hand and you reach it forward. As we replace the right hand down for a bit of support, we press into the right hand to lift the left arm high and placing it underneath the left shoulder. Now the right leg comes out, right toes are pointing to the side wall. Inhale as the arm lifts high, and exhale, reaching through. Staying connected with your pace of breathing, your own range of motion. And really just lubricating the joints in the shoulder as we begin to add gentle movement. Placing that hand back down, again in table now with the right knee down. Inhale, right arm high. Exhale, sweeping through, threading the needle fully. Left hand can push into the ground to take some of the weight off of the neck if this is uncomfortable at all on the neck. Lifting the hand, maybe you place it onto the sacrum. Check in with the hips, making sure they're equally pressing back. Maybe that hand reaches forward. As you place the left hand down once more, a deep breath in takes the right arm high, and exhale down. Swinging our legs back around. We're gonna come into a stargazer pose. And so I lied, we're actually gonna come back into our table. This is the best way to transition into stargazer. So let's take that right leg out to the side, left fingertips out to the side. And so here we're creating a nice long line from our toes all the way up through that top arm, reaching to the side wall. Opening our side body. If the ground seems too far away from you on that bottom hand, you can always place a block underneath you there. Engaging the glutes, muscles of the buttocks, as you take that top arm, reaching it back, and then circling it down. One more time, holding that reach, really pressing through the pelvis and hip bone here to find a deep awakening of the psoas. As you press off of the supporting hand, draw the opposite foot in, make a table, pulling the thigh back with the forearm, and then just reaching the other arm up. Relaxing into the shape, so letting go of any tension in the neck if you can. Just allowing the shape to be what it is, letting go of reaching too dramatically or forcing the body into any shape. And then releasing down. As you bring that knee in, maybe a little wag of your tail. If you you found the block helpful on one side, placing it to the other side. So now opposite leg comes out. As we come high, we bring the other hand down to the ground. Make sure this hand stays right underneath the shoulder as you reach. And then we'll create those circles here. So as you come back, if there's any backward bending, really supporting that shape with an activation of the muscles of the buttocks and quadricep. Holding the reach, pressing up, drawing heel in for gate pose. Again, using the traction of forearm to thigh, taking the other arm, and now opening the opposite side. Relaxing that neck. Now we come into Sukhasana. A couple of blocks might be helpful now, sitting up even taller. You just want to make sure that you are comfortable here. You can place a blanket on top of your block perhaps. And this is where we're going to bring in that scarf or your strap. Your yoga strap would be fine as well. So we're going to take the strap or scarf and we're just going to toss it over our right shoulder. Now I folded mine in half just to make it a little bit shorter, but you can have this long too. I want to make sure you can grab the back end, the back tail, holding here. We're actually going to take it with the opposite hand. So left hand comes to those ends. And you want to hug that nice and close in toward the neck. And pulling that down. So we're creating some more space here in the shoulder as we pull with the other hand down. We're going to bring our ear to our shoulder. Bringing that hand out to the side now. Palm is open. And you can draw the thumb back, sort of externally rotating the shoulder. So the thumb opens and draws back. Maybe you create some movement in that arm, lifting the arm high and then slowly down. So just finding your appropriate sensation. Don't go faster or further than the shoulder's ready to. As you move through this, you're going to find different sensation depending on the height of the arm. And then finding a place where it feels intense or like a good opening for you, holding there, letting that opposite ear feel heavy down to the shoulder, relaxing both shoulders down. And then maybe lifting the chin up and then drawing the chin down to opposite shoulder. And just finding a space that feels like it's creating a nice sense of opening. And slowly lifting to release. Maybe creating some mobility of wrists, some release in the hands. Sometimes that pulling of the strap or scarf can even create some tension in the hands. So just feeling like letting go, getting that blood moving back into the hand. We'll take it on the other side. So again, draping that scarf or belt right over the shoulder, finding the tail end. And you want to make sure it's not dropping down off the shoulder here, so it's in nice and close. And then we'll hold that with the opposite hand. Now I'm feeling like in this shoulder, for whatever reason, it's a little tighter. I need a little bit more room, so I'm gonna make my scarf longer. And pulling that down, creating that spaciousness. Dropping opposite ear to shoulder. Relaxing the jaw, the muscles of the face. Breathing deep. And then we'll bring in the opening of the hand. Externally rotating. So if the thumb was pointing up, can you draw it back? Externally rotating that shoulder. And then again, maybe the arm lifts. Again, just finding a height that works for you. If you want to hold in one space, even if that's just the hand at that lower position, if that feels right for you, just remain there. And then maybe as you're holding, you move the chin down to the shoulder or up. Just notice how sensation changes with the position of the neck. And begin to release. Again, any letting go that's needed in fingers, wrists. We're going to take the chin and bring it down as we interlace our fingers. Let the hands rest on the base of the skull. And you're going to let the elbows get heavy here. So we're creating lots of space in the back of the neck. And then just letting one elbow get heavier as you draw the chin to the side, and then going over to the other. So alternating which elbow is dropping lower. And as you come to center, an inhale perhaps lifts the gaze, lifting the head, opening the elbows, and exhale as you drop down. We're going to take that scarf or strap once more. We're going to bring it behind our necks. And then we're going to take the ends of that and we're going to pull up to the sky. So that scarf is just being right on the nape of the neck. Again, holding that base of the skull. And your head's completely relaxed here. The arms are working to hold up the weight of the head. We're going to pull just a little bit more with the left hand and then the right hand. So just one at a time, we're kind of lifting up through the back of that neck. And at any time that you feel like you are holding up your head with the muscles of the neck, try to let go a little bit deeper. So you're really trusting the weight of your head into that prop. Again, if arms are feeling any fatigue, wrists are feeling any fatigue, letting it go, giving yourself that TLC. All right, and then we're gonna come into a little bit of pulling on our ear. Now, I do want to mention that a good chunk of these exercises and movements I got from a fellow teacher, yoga teacher named Brittany Ford, and she also used to teach yoga at Central Rock Gym. And I've just been loving what she shared on Facebook so much that I want to make sure it got out to as many people as possible. So thank you so much, Brittany, for these tips. They're excellent. So with this one, I'll come just a little bit closer so you can see. I took out all of my earrings to make this more comfortable and available. We're gonna take our finger, our first finger, and we're just gonna put it right into the base of the ear. And from here, we're gonna hold on to the lobe of the ear with the thumb. So we're kind of pinching and pulling down. And as we're doing this, we're creating more space in the ear. And then just let that come all the way down. So you're letting the finger come out of the ear, pulling on the lobe. Okay, and then we're gonna move up just slightly and come a little bit of a diagonal. So we pull all the way back, letting the finger come out and pull back. And right to the middle. And you can do this with both ears at the same time. So both hands are doing the movement all the way back until the hand slips off. And then once you get past that middle point, you're going to want to take the thumb into the ear and then just begin to pull a little bit diagonally up and moving up. And then just once more at the top. And then you can come back down and just going a little bit quicker as you work your way back down. Pulling with thumb and then with that pointer finger. Wonderful. Okay, let's see, we're gonna come now into just reading my notes here as I make sure we don't forget anything. Yes, we are getting to most of what I wanted to do. We're gonna come into flossing of the shoulders now. This is familiar to a lot of my yogis that take my class. So with that scarf or with your yoga strap, you're gonna wanna unbuckle it if you had it in a loop. And then we're gonna come into heroes just to create a little bit more space. And we can use our blocks in heroes pose as well. Just tucking them underneath your seam. And here, toes can either be curled under, if this is more comfortable on the front of the ankle, or releasing so that the top of the foot is pressing on the ground. And if you don't need two blocks underneath you in heroes, feel free to just use one and increase sensation in that stretch. We're gonna hold the strap, taking it wide. We wanna make sure as we lift this up and overhead that our wrists aren't coming in or bending out. We're gonna try to keep a nice neutral wrist throughout. So you can decide how far apart the hands are as you find the movement. With a breath in, we're gonna take that strap up and overhead. Again, if the hands are too close to each other, the wrists are gonna begin to bend in. So widen the space if needed, and then let the hands come all the way back. That's the out breath. Inhaling again as the strap comes up, and exhaling as you release down. Now, if you notice when you're doing this that the elbows are bending at some point, especially like right at the top, if you have to bend the elbows to get the strap and the shoulders to move all the way back, then it's probably because your hands are again too close to each other. Try to widen that so it's not so difficult to bring the strap up and overhead. The more you do this, the easier you'll find that range of motion, but as always, starting where you are. All right, we'll have that be the last one. And then to floss the shoulders, we take that strap and we take it in half. Again, if you have a shorter scarf, then you won't probably need to fold it. I'm just going to turn around so you can see what's happening in the shoulders behind you, or behind me. Taking the strap in the right hand, drawing that strap back. Left hand comes to the elbow and pulls it back. Now we take that left hand and we're going to reach it back, grab hold of the strap. An inhale is going to pull the bottom hand up, and an exhale is going to pull the top hand down. So we're pulling and finding a little bit more space in the tricep and in the shoulder. And then we release down. Again, maybe a few shoulder circles would feel nice. And we'll take the same thing, but on the other side. So now that left hand is holding the strap up and overhead. As you drop it down and back, guiding that tricep back a little further. Notice if the head is dropping down or your ribs are flaring open. Keep that core engagement so the ribs are knitted down and in, and there's space between your chin and your chest. Grabbing hold of the strap behind you and flossing the shoulders. Staying with that breath. And slowly releasing down. As we come onto our belly, we're gonna make sure we have one block close by. Coming toward the end of our practice, so from your belly, we're gonna allow both arms to reach out, and notice that the arms are straight out to the sides. They're not up diagonally or down diagonally, but straight out like a giant letter T. We're gonna have the block, and it's gonna first start underneath the left cheek. I'm gonna use my right hand to begin to roll over onto my left shoulder. I can either keep my legs stacked, and just move this blanket, or I can take the top leg and just start to bring it back slightly. This might be an appropriate edge for me. Again, supporting your weight with the right hand can be helpful. Or if you want to go a little bit further, you could take that right knee and bend it up to the sky. Maybe the right arm, find some movement, circling, reaching it back to bring the shoulders closer to each other, shoulder blades, and then releasing down, restacking the legs, and we'll just find this on the other side. So now that block is underneath the right cheek, Again, rolling onto the right hip. Maybe this is where you stay, legs stacked. Maybe you take that top leg and you just bring it back a bit. If lifting the knee, bending the leg doesn't feel right, it's too much, this can be a nice modification. And supporting yourself as much as you'd like with that left hand, or creating those circles. And releasing down and out. Taking a moment as you rest your forehead on the back of the hands, just tuning in, seeing how things feel. Notice if you're holding tension in the back side of the body, perhaps the muscles of the buttocks, your glutes are still activated even though they don't need to be. It's amazing where we hold tension and tightness. Coming into our final postures. So we're going to find a hammock here. Now this you will need a strap for. If you do not have a yoga strap, there will be a modification afterwards. But first I'll show what we do with the strap. So taking one end, threading it through the buckle. And then with that, I'm going to make sure that the placement of that buckle is going to be within my reach. So I take the strap and I place my feet down into the strap. Bending the knees a lot, I'm going to place the strap onto the back of my head. You can keep your hands down to start if you'd like. And it's going to feel a little bit awkward at first, so you can tighten the strap as much or as little as needed to find that appropriate amount of space. So mine is too tight. Let's go a little bit wider here. You know what? That's what I just realized. I was doing it in Navasana. I was like, this feels way harder than it's supposed to. It's because we want to be laying down. So if we come onto our backs and we do this, and see the strap is right where I can reach it. The belt here is just over the top of the ear, so it's again cradling the base of the skull. And I can change how tight or how loose it is from here. But what's happening is I'm allowing my legs to just counterbalance and hold up the weight of my head. And this is creating some great opening and length in the back of my neck. Arms can be wherever is comfortable. And you can hold this as long as you'd like. Please stay in that position as long as it feels good. I'm just going to show the modification to that. So if you don't have a strap, you're going to take your block and a blanket, and you can put this block at a taller height if you'd like. You could place 2 blocks even, so it's nice and sturdy, and that's going to be for your head. And then I'm going to have my legs right up against a wall. So I scoot my seat nice and close to the wall, And I just let that block be right underneath the base of the skull here. Again, arms out to the sides, nice and relaxed. And you could stay here in this restorative posture for as long as feels delicious, restorative. And the final thing I'd like to show, again, maybe you hit pause there, you decide you want to stay in that comfortable posture for a bit longer. But I wanted to end with this massaging of the top of the neck, because this is something that some yogis will want to be practicing for quite some time, and others will find it uncomfortable and be ready to move on immediately. It's working into those knots that for some need a lot of work, and if you can stay with the discomfort of releasing the knots, it can be really beneficial. So in a constructive rest, knees are going to be bent as you slowly come down onto your back. We're going to let the feet be a bit wider so the knees can tip in that tented shape. And then holding the block, we're going to place that block behind our head. But instead of having it flat down, we're going to take that block and we're just going to bring it to a tilt. You can hold onto the block the whole time if you're afraid it's going to move out from underneath you. And we're hoping that that block, the edge of the block, is going to press right into where there's a buildup of tension and some knots. And as you rock your head from side to side, maybe you hang out in one space a little bit longer. Try to relax the muscles of the face, the jaw, and stay with the breath. So even though the sensation can be really strong, can you bring a sense of calm to the mind and breathe deeply to ease the discomfort of it? Now this can be found with that block flat also. It's a little bit different. And you can also allow the block to tilt in, catching the other edge. So just explore and see what feels best for your body. Maybe you can do this without holding the block, and maybe you just rest in one spot, sort of like that head hammock we did with the strap. So giving yourself the space and the time that's needed to find a deeper sense of well-being, really honoring those needs, taking the time to release and open up. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me. Thank you to Brittany for sharing those wonderful tips. And yeah, again, hit pause or stay in any of those shapes as long as they feel beneficial for you. Thank you.